Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. Tolerance isn't strength, it's often just permission granted to the wrong people. Pause on that. Because what if I told you the average person tolerates over 1,200 micro-annoyances per day, from pointless notifications to emotional leeches pretending to be friends, but not the Sigma male. He's the human version of airport security for the soul. If your energy sets off alarms, you don't get through. No exceptions. No, I was just joking. No, but we're family. Nothing. And while society worships the idea of being understanding, the Sigma male has a very different mantra. If it's fake, needy, loud, or manipulative, I don't negotiate, I disappear. Now you may think that sounds cold, but here's the twist. It's not about arrogance, it's about economy, of energy, of time, of sanity. Because when your mind is your strongest weapon, you protect it like Fort Knox. So today we're unlocking 20 things the Sigma male has zero tolerance for. Not 12. Not watered-down TikTok tropes. We're diving into the underground wiring of a mind that doesn't bend to nonsense, doesn't beg for attention, and sure as hell doesn't tolerate mediocrity disguised as normal. Fair warning, this list doesn't play nice, because Sigma males don't either. Number 1, clout chasers who think exposure equals sign power. Sigma males have zero tolerance for clout chasers. People obsessed with being seen, liked, shared, and worshipped by strangers. To the Sigma male, this obsession with visibility is one of the most ridiculous forms of weakness. It's like watching someone scream for attention while slowly erasing their identity in the process. The clout chaser wants followers, fame, and relevance. The Sigma wants freedom, clarity, and control. These two don't speak the same language. The Sigma male sees through the performance. He knows that many people chasing the spotlight are really just trying to outrun their insecurity. They think visibility will make them matter, but all it really does is expose their emptiness louder. For the Sigma, real power is built in silence. He doesn't need a crowd to validate him, and he sure as hell doesn't need applause to know his worth. In fact, the more everyone else fights to be seen, the more he finds power in being invisible. That's where he moves best, out of reach, out of drama, out of the algorithm. He also knows this ugly truth most people avoid. Chasing clout turns people into slaves. Not metaphorically, literally. They become slaves to public opinion, to trends, to digital approval. One wrong word and they panic. One dip in likes and they question their value. Sigma males watch this desperation from a distance with quiet amusement. You gave the world your soul for clicks, for validation from strangers who wouldn't recognize you if you passed them on the street. No thanks. And it's not that Sigma males hate attention, they just refuse to earn it by selling their authenticity. If their work or presence earns respect, fine, but they'll never lower themselves into the online circus just to be seen. They know that real recognition doesn't come from being loud, it comes from being undeniable. And if you have to beg for attention, you've already admitted you're not. So while the world chases cameras, likes, and trends, the Sigma male walks the other way, quiet, focused, and dangerous. Because the ones you don't see coming, those are the ones you should really be afraid of. Number 2, people who take loyalty for granted. When a Sigma male gives you loyalty, it's not casual, it's calculated. It's not about blind devotion or emotional obligation. It's because, after quietly observing you, measuring your character, and seeing through your patterns, he decided you were worth it. And that's rare. Most people never get that far. But once you do, you're in a tight circle built on mutual respect, not sentimentality. The problem? Most people don't recognize the value of this kind of loyalty because it's quiet. It doesn't come with grand gestures or loud declarations. It's shown in how a Sigma male protects your name in rooms you're not in, backs you when no one's watching, and never lets envy poison his respect. But here's the thing, they give it once, that's it. There's no loyal by default, no endless forgiveness loop. You cross the line even once, disrespect them, betray their trust, lie when you didn't have to, and it's over. No speech, no drama, just gone. And people always mistake their silence for softness. They think, he didn't react, so maybe it's not that deep. Wrong. The Sigma male reacts by removing you from the equation entirely. No announcement, no revenge, just a surgical deletion of your access. Because he knows loyalty isn't something you fix with apologies. It's either there or it's not. And once you show it's not mutual, you're not just untrusted, you're irrelevant. The irony is most people only realize what they had after it's gone. They confuse the Sigma's calm presence for convenience, and when he leaves, They start to see the depth they never respected. But by then it's too late. Sigma males don't reopen closed doors. They don't do second rounds with people who mishandled the first. Not out of ego, but because they understand that loyalty isn't about emotion, it's about alignment. And if you can't match theirs, they won't lower theirs. Simple. So when you get loyalty from a Sigma male, understand the weight of it. It's not for show, it's not temporary, and it's definitely not free. It's a high-value currency, and if you burn it, don't expect a refund. Number 3, people who assume confidence must look loud. Sigma males have no patience for people who think confidence has to be loud, aggressive, or attention-hungry. In fact, that kind of performative bravado instantly turns them off. To the Sigma, real confidence is quiet, calm, and precise, not noisy, desperate, or theatrical. They don't need to raise their voice to raise the stakes. They don't need to dominate the room with presence because they dominate it with control of themselves, their energy, and their boundaries. They see loud confidence for what it often is, a mask, a cover-up for insecurity dressed up as boldness. The guy who talks the most is usually the least certain, the one who constantly reminds people how powerful, rich, connected, or alpha he is. Probably trying to convince himself. Sigma males aren't buying it. They know that the strongest men don't have to prove anything. They just move different. Their silence isn't passive. It's loaded. It's intentional. And it makes people uncomfortable for a reason. People used to equate silence with weakness. But the Sigma male made silence terrifying. Why? Because you don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what he's planning. You don't even know if he sees you as a threat, or if he's already 5 moves ahead and just letting you talk yourself into a mistake. That kind of mental stillness, that's a weapon. What's even more unsettling is that Sigma males don't chase the spotlight, and yet when they walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts, not because they demanded it, but because everyone around them feels that invisible, unshakable confidence that needs no introduction. That's power, that's gravity, and it doesn't need a microphone. So when people confuse loudness with strength, Sigma males tune out. They know real power doesn't scream. It watches, it calculates, and when it moves, it does so with purpose, not for applause, but for impact. The Sigma male's confidence isn't built to impress the room, it's built to own it, silently and completely. Number 4, emotional extortion through guilt or obligation. Sigma males have zero tolerance for emotional extortion, especially when it's disguised as kindness. The moment someone starts guilt-tripping them with lines like, "After everything I did for you," or "You owe me this," they mentally check out. To them, that's not generosity. That's a transaction with hidden fees, and if there's one thing a Sigma male refuses to be, it's emotionally indebted to someone pretending to care. They operate on clean energy. If they help you, it's because they chose to, not because they want something in return and they expect the same in return. The moment someone turns past support into a weapon, the Sigma doesn't argue, he doesn't explain, he just cuts the emotional cord and walks out of the game. That's because he sees guilt as a manipulation tactic used by people who don't have real leverage. It's the emotional version of counterfeit money. You're trying to buy loyalty, time, or access using guilt instead of value. Sigma males don't cash that kind of currency. They don't even entertain it. The second it shows up, you've exposed your weakness and made it clear you were never helping out of sincerity but strategy. This is also why Sigma males are extremely cautious about who they accept favors from. If they sense even a slight trace of ego or expectation behind your generosity, they'll decline it. Not because they're ungrateful, but because they know how people use past favors as emotional blackmail. And Sigma males would rather struggle alone than be psychologically handcuffed by someone who sees kindness as a loan they expect to be repaid with obedience. The worst part for most people, the Sigma's response isn't explosive. He won't argue or plead. He'll just become cold, distant, unreadable, and eventually completely gone. No breakdown text, just the echo of your manipulation collapsing on itself. Because here's the brutal truth. If your care came with conditions, it was never care. And the Sigma male will never stay in a room where the price of love is submission. Number 5, people who weaponize helplessness. Sigma males have a razor-sharp radar for people who weaponize helplessness. Those who pretend to be broken, confused, or incapable, not because they truly need help, but because they've learned it's a powerful way to manipulate stronger people into doing their emotional labor. And if there's one thing a Sigma male refuses to be, it's someone else's emotional crutch in a rigged game. This isn't about not caring. Sigma males can be deeply loyal and protective when they see authenticity. But the moment they sense someone using weakness as a tool to gain sympathy, control attention, or avoid responsibility, they shut it down cold, because they've seen the pattern before. The person who always needs rescuing but never seems to get stronger. The one who lives in permanent crisis mode. The one who can never handle anything but somehow always finds a way to pull people into their orbit of chaos. Sigma males don't play that game. They know that fake helplessness is a power move in disguise. It's designed to trigger your guilt, awaken your protective instinct, and slowly drain your time, focus, and emotional bandwidth. It's psychological vampirism, but dressed in soft tones and teary eyes. The worst part? Society often rewards this kind of behavior. People rush to help the loudest victim without realizing that not everyone who cries is in pain. Some cry to stay in control. But Sigma males are immune to this kind of manipulation because they don't respond to noise. They observe, they assess. They see the strings behind the performance, and once they do, they step back permanently. They don't explain themselves. They don't get pulled into guilt traps. They just stop responding, emotionally detach, and walk away. Not because they lack empathy, but because they know this truth. You can't help someone who benefits from staying broken. So while others fall for the act and try to fix people who don't want to be fixed, Sigma males opt out. They refuse to be saviors in someone else's carefully crafted victim story. If you want real help, be real. If not, don't expect them to play therapist to your performance. Number 6, forced social rituals masquerading as normal. Sigma males have a deep intolerance for forced social rituals, those hollow, repetitive events that society treats as sacred, even when they feel like emotional cardboard. We're talking about weddings where no one really cares about the couple, office birthday parties where everyone pretends to be excited over a dry cake, and small talk that's just filler noise between people too afraid of silence. Sigma males don't avoid these things because they're shy or antisocial. They avoid them because they see through them. To a Sigma male, these rituals aren't bonding experiences. They're pressure-driven performances. Everyone shows up, puts on the right face, says the right things, and secretly wishes they were somewhere else. It's a theater of politeness where the scripts are predictable, the roles are empty, and the connection is fake. Sigma males refuse to participate in that kind of collective self-deception. They don't need external ceremonies to feel close to people. They value depth over display. So when someone says, "You have to come to this thing, it's tradition," the Sigma hears, "We need you to fake enthusiasm for something you didn't ask to be part of." And the answer is no, not rudely, not dramatically, just no. What really grates on them is the obligation. The expectation that if you don't show up, smile, and play along, something must be wrong with you. That's the part they reject most. They despise the idea that social participation equals virtue, that going along with the group, even when it's draining and pointless, is somehow a sign of being a good person. Sigma males know that authenticity doesn't need a crowd, and respect doesn't come from showing up out of guilt. And yes, people call them cold for this, distant, difficult. But what they're really doing is protecting their energy from being wasted on events that exist more for appearances than meaning. They don't do small talk, they do real talk. They don't do forced fun, they do freedom. So when someone asks why the Sigma male didn't attend the mandatory office pizza party, the answer is simple: he doesn't perform for applause, and definitely not for pepperoni. Number 7, people who confuse silence with insecurity. Sigma males are often misjudged by those who mistake their silence for insecurity. In a world addicted to noise, the person who doesn't overshare, doesn't dominate every conversation, and doesn't constantly assert themselves is usually labeled as timid, awkward, or weak. But this is exactly where Sigma males thrive, in being underestimated. They're not quiet because they don't have something to say. They're quiet because they're processing everything, every word, every micro-expression, every contradiction in what you say versus what you mean. While others fill the air with opinions, the Sigma male listens, studies, dissects. And while you think you're leading the conversation, he's already figured out your blind spots, and if needed, how to exploit them. The people who assume a Sigma's silence means passivity usually end up embarrassed, because when the Sigma does finally speak, it's never random, it's surgical, no wasted words, just facts, precision and pressure points. And by then it's already too late. You've revealed your entire hand and he's barely even blinked. What truly sets Sigma males apart is that they don't need verbal validation to feel powerful. They don't have the itch to be the center of attention. They don't confuse volume with value. They'd rather be underestimated and in control than overexposed and predictable. Their silence isn't a flaw, it's a weapon of timing. When they speak, it means they've decided it's necessary, not because they crave approval, but because the moment demands precision. This is why Sigma males often leave a strong impact in meetings, debates, or negotiations, even when they've spoken the least. It's not about how long you talk. It's about how undeniable your presence becomes when you finally do. People remember what the Sigma says because it feels earned. It wasn't background noise, it was the turning point. So for those who misread that silence as fear or social awkwardness, consider this. You can't hear a sniper until it's too late either. Sigma males don't raise their voice to dominate. They let you assume you're winning, right until the moment they take the ground from under you. Number 8, surface-level thinkers. Sigma males have a deep aversion to surface-level thinkers, people who blindly echo whatever's trending without ever stopping to challenge it. They see it everywhere. Someone hears a hot take on a podcast, sees a viral clip on TikTok, or skims a tweet from a self-proclaimed expert, and suddenly they're parroting it like gospel truth. No context, no curiosity, just recycled noise dressed up as insight. To a Sigma male, that's not thinking. That's intellectual karaoke. They don't care if your opinion is popular, edgy, or even technically correct. If you can't explain why you believe it in your own words, from your own experience, it means nothing. Sigma males respect depth, not trendiness. They can smell regurgitated ideas from a mile away, and nothing kills their interest faster than someone who mistakes memorization for mastery. It's not about being the smartest in the room. It's about being mentally independent. Sigma males ask questions like, where did this idea come from? Who benefits from me believing this? Do I believe this because it's true or because I'm afraid to be wrong? And when they hear someone rant confidently using someone else's voice, they don't argue. They just silently disqualify them as a serious thinker. The real issue is that surface-level thinking leads to shallow living. These are the people who follow trends, chase status, and switch beliefs as fast as the algorithm changes. They lack a spine because they never built one. They just borrowed whatever framework was available and hoped it would hold. Sigma males see that, and they want no part of it. They're drawn to people who can wrestle with uncomfortable questions, who are okay saying, I don't know yet, and who value truth over applause. Because to a Sigma male, a quiet original is worth infinitely more than a loud clone. They'd rather sit in silence with someone who thinks deeply than listen to another puppet repeat the same 5 talking points for cheap validation. So when a Sigma hears a statement that sounds too polished, too trendy, or too convenient, his first thought isn't, that's smart. It's, whose mind am I really listening to? And if the answer isn't yours, he's already gone. Number 9, emotional manipulators who disguise drama as passion. Sigma males see right through emotional manipulators who cloak their drama in the guise of passion. They've heard the excuse 1,000 times, I'm just passionate. It's the classic get-out-of-accountability-free card for people who thrive on chaos and want to rope others into their storm. But to the Sigma male, this isn't passion. It's emotional warfare disguised as intensity. Real passion fuels growth, creativity, and purpose. It energizes without destroying. But emotional manipulators, their passion is a tool designed to destabilize, confuse, and control. It's a weapon that pulls you into unpredictable cycles of highs and lows, leaving you drained, questioning reality, and wondering why you keep giving in. The Sigma male won't be caught in that trap. He recognizes that passion is often just a cover for unchecked ego and unresolved issues. When someone says, I'm passionate, what they often mean is, I need your attention, validation, and emotional labor, whether you want to give it or not. And if you hesitate, they escalate, throwing tantrums, guilt trips, or emotional blackmail to keep you tethered. Sigma males aren't interested in being emotional punching bags disguised as partners, friends, or colleagues. They've learned to separate genuine intensity from manufactured drama. Genuine passion doesn't demand constant attention, it commands respect through action and consistency. Drama disguised as passion demands your energy, time, and sanity, and it always comes with strings attached. The Sigma male doesn't feed into these cycles. He doesn't try to fix or soothe the tempest. Instead, he pulls back, establishes boundaries, and if necessary, cuts ties. Because he knows that love or respect that comes with chaos attached isn't love or respect, it's manipulation. So when someone waves their passion like a flag, warning signs light up for the Sigma male. He's already stepping away quietly because he's not interested in being a hostage to someone else's drama masquerading as love. Number 10, low ambition leechers who romanticize mediocrity. Sigma males have zero patience for low ambition leechers who wear their laziness like a badge of honor and romanticize mediocrity as if it's some enlightened lifestyle choice. These are the people who proudly claim to be just chill, laid back, or easygoing, while simultaneously making zero effort to grow, improve, or take responsibility for their lives. To the Sigma, this isn't chillness, it's emotional and intellectual stagnation disguised as virtue. What really drives Sigma males crazy about these comfort addicts is the disconnect between their words and their reality. They brag about being relaxed and carefree, but their biggest fear is actually doing the hard work required to level up. They settle for the bare minimum, constantly making excuses, blaming the system, or pretending that ambition equals greed. But to Sigma males, ambition isn't about chasing empty status or conforming to society's expectations. It's about mastering yourself and your environment. And anyone who refuses to move, improve, or challenge themselves is just dead weight. Sigma males see these leechers as toxic energy drains, people who sap motivation, inspire complacency, and turn any dynamic into a slow decay. They don't want to be around those who think life is about comfort zones and naps. They want to be around those who wrestle with discomfort, hunger, and challenge. Mediocrity disguised as contentment is nothing but a cage, and Sigma males refuse to live or breathe inside it. This zero tolerance is not about arrogance, it's about survival and self-respect. Sigma males know that your circle shapes your mindset, and comfort addicts will pull you down faster than any overt enemy. So when someone tries to sell laziness as philosophy or inaction as wisdom, the Sigma male quietly detaches because he knows that growth demands discomfort and there's no room for leeches on his path. Number 11, romantic partners who view them as projects to fix. Sigma males have zero tolerance for romantic partners who see them as projects to fix or broken puzzles to solve. They aren't looking for a therapist, a coach, or a savior disguised as a lover. If your primary interest in them is rooted in the belief that they need healing or transformation, not respect and genuine connection, you're already disqualified from their world. To a Sigma male, relationships are alliances of equals, not rescue missions. They don't sign up to be someone's emotional DIY project or therapy case. They understand themselves deeply, even if they're still evolving. And they expect their partners to accept them as they are, not as a work in progress to be improved. Trying to impose your healing agenda on them feels intrusive, controlling, and frankly, disrespectful. What makes this intolerance so strong is the Sigma male's fierce independence. He has learned to manage his inner world on his own terms and doesn't need someone else to constantly poke at his cracks or drag out old wounds for discussion. He values authenticity, strength, and self-reliance, and he expects the same from anyone who chooses to be close to him. If you approach him like a case study instead of a partner, you've already lost. Furthermore, Sigma males are painfully aware of the subtle power plays in fixer relationships. Often the person trying to heal is really seeking control, validation, or emotional leverage. Sigma males don't fall for that. They see through the veneer of altruism and call it what it is, an attempt to rewrite their story without their consent. The brutal truth is, if your presence is more about what you can change in him rather than who he truly is, you're not just unwelcome, you're a threat to his autonomy. Sigma males protect their freedom fiercely, and they'll walk away silently but decisively when they realize you're there to mold them, not meet them. In the end, with a Sigma male, respect isn't optional and therapy partners aren't welcome. If you can't love him as a complete man, don't expect to hold space beside him. Number 12. People who inflate titles but evade responsibility. Sigma males have zero tolerance for people who inflate their titles and bask in the glow of leadership, right up until the moment things go south and responsibility knocks on the door. These are the types who crave the spotlight, the respect and the perks that come with a title, but vanish like ghosts when failure or hard decisions show up. To a Sigma male, that's not leadership, it's cowardice dressed in a fancy suit. What really grinds their gears is the disconnect between the image and the reality. They see plenty of leaders who treat their role like a trophy to flaunt, not a burden to bear. They enjoy the applause, the authority, and the perks, but run for cover when things get tough, passing blame, dodging accountability, and spinning excuses. Sigma males find this behavior not just weak but dangerous because true leadership demands owning every outcome, good or bad. Sigma males lead quietly but effectively. They don't need to advertise their rank or shout their achievements. Their leadership shows in how they face consequences, solve problems, and hold themselves to standards others can't. When they fail, they don't hide or shift blame. They absorb the lessons and move forward stronger. That level of integrity is non-negotiable to them. Because of this, Sigma males have zero patience for those who treat leadership as a costume rather than a commitment. They watch closely for signs of true accountability and swiftly distance themselves from anyone who claims power but refuses to accept its weight. Titles without responsibility are meaningless, just hollow status symbols that Sigma males silently mock. In their world, leadership isn't about being served, it's about service. It's not about prestige, it's about pressure. And if you want to hold a title around a Sigma male, be ready to stand firm when the heat is on, because otherwise you're just another pretender. And Sigma males don't tolerate pretenders in their circle. At the core of every Sigma male lies an unyielding code, a refusal to settle for anything less than raw authenticity, uncompromising integrity, and unshakable self-mastery. They navigate life with a clarity and quiet strength that demands respect, not because they shout for it, but because they live it relentlessly. The things they have zero tolerance for are not mere pet peeves. They are fundamental breaches of their values, boundaries, and vision of what it means to be truly powerful. From the toxicity of emotional manipulation disguised as passion to the shallow regurgitation of others' opinions, Sigma males reject anything that dulls their mental edge or drains their energy. They will not tolerate the lazy comfort addicts who romanticize mediocrity or the pretenders who flaunt titles without owning responsibility. To them, silence is not weakness but a calculated strategy, and forced social rituals aren't harmless traditions. They're hollow performances they refuse to waste time on. What truly sets Sigma males apart is their fierce commitment to truth and autonomy. They don't just tolerate discomfort, they embrace it as necessary growth. They won't play the part of a savior to someone who weaponizes helplessness or be tethered to partners who see them as projects rather than equals. They see through tactical ignorance and walk past those who choose to avoid reality rather than confront it head-on. In a world that often celebrates noise over nuance, superficiality over substance, and spectacle over sincerity, Sigma males are a rare breed who demand a higher standard, not just from others, but from themselves. Their zero-tolerance list isn't about arrogance or detachment. It's about survival, respect, and the relentless pursuit of a life lived on their own terms. So if you want to understand what makes Sigma males stand apart, pay close attention to what they refuse to accept. Because in those boundaries you find their power, their wisdom, and their uncompromising code, a code that insists authenticity over approval, action over empty words, and above all, freedom without compromise. And that is what makes them not just different but unforgettable. If you found value in uncovering the unfiltered truths about Sigma males, their mindset, their boundaries, and what they absolutely won't tolerate, then don't just watch and move on. Become part of this journey. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss the rare insights that challenge the status quo and dive deeper into what really shapes power and independence. Like this video if it shook up your perspective. Drop a comment with your own experiences or thoughts. Let's build a community that thrives on honesty and strength, and share this with anyone ready to cut through the noise and see the world through the eyes of a Sigma male. Your engagement fuels the real conversations that matter, so don't hold back. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Let's keep this raw, real, and relentless.